If I got any current staff members that's in this building that can hear me, on a day-to-day basis, this is who I rock with. We celebrating the 40th year of legal services for prisoners with children.
40 years ago, Ellen Berry and family started a small office to fight for women in prison who were dying. I come from a little organization called the Center for Young Women's Development, Young Women's Freedom Center, and we were working on the streets 25 years ago when we met staff of this amazing organization who said, you're absolutely not alone and the system has eaten up your parents, but we fight with you and for them.
Some of the fights that we've engaged in have been tremendous fights, but at the base of those fights was always movement.
My summer at LSPC was a revelation, not just because I began to learn about the substantive rights of people in prison, but because I began to learn how a lawyer can, how a lawyer must show up if she wants to be part of a human rights movement.
I also consider LSPC and All of Us or None my family too. So many of the folks who birthed All of Us or None were among the people who helped to awaken me to the birth of a new caste-like system in this country and who helped to inspire my work, the writing of the new Jim Crow, and who remain inspirations to me every single day.
They understood before funders understood. They understood before directors understood that we, formerly incarcerated, convicted, and confined people, system-impacted people, can do more than tell you our story. We can strategize. We can start foundations. We can count money. 40 years ago, I was a third-generation convicted felon, going in and out of the system as a teenager because that's what my world was like. And so I entered this built environment that was here long before I was born, but it's our job to make sure that it's not here for the next generation of our babies.
10 years ago, when I was doing the research, for writing the book, we were at a moment in our nation's history where we were still very much captured by this race to incarcerate. We have a wave of legislation across the United States that is scaling back much of what had been done during those years. But I am concerned. Already we see digital prisons being born all over this country. We have electronic monitors, we have surveillance systems, new high-tech means of racial and social control that we can see we will be dealing with, for decades to come.
Having been to prison, I think I probably would take an ankle monitor over a prison. Let me keep that real. So I probably would, but I get the point. I look at reentry now, and I get calls from GEO. So now GEO is the reentry giant. GEO is asking people, community-based organizations like ours, to partner with them to continue to confine, convict, and house people and enslave people. So now the conversation is about how are we going to keep them in the system? We're going to call it reentry, but it's really not reentry. It's an extension of a chain. It's an extension of the chain that we've been shackled to since we got here. And it has changed. So now we're talking reentry, but is it reentry? Just let me go. Just let me go. That's not coming from someone who has studied at fine institution or is an academia. That's from someone who dropped out of the 9th grade and became a mom because a boy kissed her on her elbow and she thought she was in love. That's somebody who had a crack pipe in her mouth and wore a size 1 for a decade and smoked up her babies. That's who's talking here, because those are my lived experiences. And today I'm an attorney. Yes, today I'm an attorney.
I think one of the most frustrating things as an activist and as an organizer is that so often we know what works. We know after-school programs work. We know mentoring works. Big Brothers Big Sisters programs work. Athletic programs work. Arts, music programs work. And by work, I mean they reduce the chances of people becoming incarcerated, reduce the chances of teen suicide, they reduce the chances of HIV/AIDS, they reduce the chances of teen pregnancy, they reduce the chances of dropping out. We know this stuff works. We have to hold on to this idea that abolition is possible, right? We can't yield that point. We have to reimagine what's possible. Robin Kelly talks about the freedom dream. What is our freedom dream? Our freedom dream can't be warmer and fuzzier prisons. As we move away from this idea of who did it and how do we punish them to a question of who was harmed and how do we make them whole again, right? As we move to that position, we're now in a better position to raise different questions because we have different possibilities in front of us. So when people ask me, is abolition possible? Yes, it's inevitable.